Here with us, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Master Chief Spike Call.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Yeah, good morning. How's everybody doing? All right. Hey, I was talking to my boss the other day, and I had to ask him for permission to come up, and I said, hey, I gotta go up. I got a friend of mine who's retiring. And Commander Herb Josie said, sure. He said, what are you going to say in your speech? I said, oh, I don't know. And he said, well, you want me to read your speech? And I said, I'm not writing a speech. And he said, you're not going to write a speech? And I said, no, I don't need to write a speech to talk about my friend for about 20 minutes. That's going to be the easiest thing in the world. So I just want to say welcome to Mom and Dad. Hey, I got to tell you, your son, he's a rock star. And he's really kind of a big deal. And he would never say that to you. He would never put that out there. You know, he probably would come home and say, oh yeah, I take pictures, and kind of that's what I do. But your son, for an awful long time, has been doing things that are really big. And so I think it's a testament to what he's done that you see this room full of people. I think maybe, I don't know, a few of them might be here just to make sure he actually retires, but the majority of us are here because we love him and we have worked with him. So, and Becky, I would imagine that you have thought about this day for a while. Yeah. But I'll get back to you in a minute, I promise, hon. So, if you all would do me a favor and take this little thing right here and pop this open to the center portion. I would like to talk about a couple of things that I see that are very disturbing. Number one, there are people in this room that have looked at this program and said they think that the size of his mustache and the size of his glasses depended on whether or not Becky dressed him in the morning or made sure he shaved before he left. So some of those are disturbing there, Todd. I don't know what to say, quite honestly. But for the most part, you can see that when he's on deployment, sometimes the attitude mustache comes in, and we lovingly call it an attitude mustache because, you know, if you have a bad attitude, you know what, the man's not going to keep me down today. I'm going to grow a mustache, because that's really the only legal thing you can do. You can't grow a beard anymore and become an outlaw or anything like that. So, but that's why we call it an attitude mustache. I first met Todd back in 1993, 94, I think it was. 95, my bad. I got to ComCam in 94, and then Todd shows up. He was one of these crazy guys who just showed up out of this thing called RIT, specialized training. And I was like, specialized training, what does that mean? I'm just a punk working at this thing. He comes in and he starts showing me all these pictures. And right away, I didn't really get it at first. But he kept working on me, and he's saying, let me explain this to you. And I was thinking in my head, why did he do that? But the funny thing was, he didn't do it with me. He shared it with everybody. And there's a difference between, that's a good picture, and there's a really stark difference between, that's a great picture and good picture. And Todd is the reason that I went to Syracuse University. Todd is the reason I am still in the Navy. Todd is the reason that I went as far as I have gone. And Todd doesn't know this, but he is. Because I was most likely going to get out of the service until he mentioned this thing, this special program. And then one afternoon I said, hey, what are you doing? Todd was looking at my pictures to submit for this program. And so it began. So it changed my life. Your son changed my life forever. And I'm here now because he did. And I'm only one person. And if you can just imagine all the people that he's come in contact with, it's just amazing. I mean, it really is. So I told you I was not going to come up here and roast you. That will happen downstairs. So I encourage all of you to come down there for that. But I'm going to keep my remarks very brief. But but I just need you to know. If you want to know where he was stationed, read that book. If you want to know what awards he's read or what awards he has, look at his chest, you know. But if you want to know what type of guy he is, none better. He was always there. He was always the guy, always the chief that was there for you. In Japan, your house was open to all of those kids. I remember calling down a couple times, hey, what's going on, man? It sounds like there's oh yeah, we got all the guys from the photo lab over. That takes a lot, you know, and that's teamwork. Todd, Becky, made it work. I'm sorry you were, you know, around all those crazy young sailors at that time. It doesn't look like it's affected you in any way, shape, or form, Jeremy. Good to go. I promise I won't embarrass you, okay? All right, Bob. But, so he's done it. He's continually been there, stood the watch, and been at work where we needed him, where the Navy needed him. He's never turned down a job, save one. And the one he turned down was the one that I offered him, the last one. I wanted him to come down to Combat Camera and have some fun with me. And the reason why he turned it down was because he said he wanted to spend time with his son. And he wanted to be there with his wife. So that's a big deal. And Todd from years back would have been like, oh yeah, man, I'm packing up the family, we're going. Now, he got it, you know, he's moved on. So, sorry, bud, but he wants to spend more time around you. So if he's asking lots more questions, it's not my fault. I offered him a job, he said no. You know, so, but the things that he's done, he's always worked kind of under the radar. He's never talked about himself. He's never gone through and said, me, 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 me. He's always been there pushing people forward, and never afraid to do what he needed to do. Never afraid to speak his mind. And sometimes, hey, you young kids sitting over here, look at me, okay? There's going to be times, okay, where old people like me, who are in this funny uniform, are going to ask you what you think. Be honest with them and tell them. Sometimes they won't like it, but be honest, okay? And continue that for however long you stay in the service. If you do that, if you're not disrespectful and you give them what you think when they want it, you'll end up like this guy. I don't think that's a bad thing. So, lastly, Becky, I know you're going to start crying when he gets up here. Yeah, it's all good. You have been so wonderful as a support system for your husband. And there aren't enough people that ever talk about these things. You open your house to strangers. You took care of sailors. You baked, you cooked, you cleaned. You parented when they weren't your own kids. You kicked people in the backside when they needed it, me included. And you were always there with Todd. And there was never just a Todd. It was always, hey, Todd and Becky, Todd and Becky, Todd and Becky, Todd and Becky, you know. And I got to tell you, I don't think I've been this close to a family, a Navy family that has done it so well and stayed together and just made this thing really work. Uprooting your family from the United States to go to Japan was huge. And you made that work so awesome. I mean, I just can't believe it. And you made it easy for Todd. And that just was the most wonderful thing. So, Jeremy, I don't think you know right now. I think you will maybe a little bit later on when you get a little bit older. But your dad was a leader of men and women in the United States Navy. And that is a huge, huge thing. People love your dad because of the things that he taught them, things that he taught us. And like I said, there's going to come a day where you're going to say, wow, man, my dad was a big deal in the Navy, because he is, okay? So anyway, I'm not going to be up here any longer. I know there's a pool on whether or not Todd's going to cry, and I know people want their money, so I'm just saying. But Todd, your friendship has meant the world to me. And it's gonna mean the world to me until I stop sucking air through my pie hole. You ain't going nowhere. I mean, I'll be calling you. Sorry, Becky. But you changed my life. And in doing that, you changed a lot of sailors' lives as well. And I can't thank you enough, man. If you didn't push me to go to do this crazy specialized training thing, if you didn't take an interest in me, I would have never gone. I would have just been a punk less maybe now, but I would have been a punk just getting out of the Navy with a bad attitude. And I don't know how to repay that. I don't know what to say to you. I mean, thank you doesn't mean anything. I mean, you changed my life. And I just want to say, I love you. If you ever need anything, you know I'm here. And do me a favor. Okay, I need you to keep running. Don't stop PTing, because when you retire, you don't have to get up normally in the morning and run around with these crazy kids back here. So please, please. What's that, honey? Hey, it's all good. So, but take care of yourself. I'm here, and I love you, brother. All right? All right, here we go.
Great speech.
You gonna cry?
Nope, not yet.